Hi, this is Jay Kerr, and I'm going to do a number of these short little videos for the whole month leading to the release of my first science fiction novel, Thursday on November 1st. So what are going to be in these videos? Well, I'm going to talk a little bit about my life. As you can see behind me, we go from Lou Reed and John Cale in the Velvet Underground in a Andy Warhol print to me, to a Nickelback platinum record. That's kind of like the scale of coolness in rock music from one end to the other. No offense, Nickelback, I love you guys. But I wanted to do a series of videos about my career in the music industry, touching upon my career in writing and some of the many stories that I have to tell. So let's start with a really cool story about Van Halen, specifically Eddie Van Halen. Back in the 90s for the Unlawful Carnal Knowledge tour, I was doing tour support for their opening band, Baby Animals. And I spent a lot of time backstage with both Van Halen and Baby Animals. One of the reasons being that Eddie Van Halen specifically was a big fan of the band, Baby Animals. And the other is that Eddie loved guitar. He just loved playing guitar and talking to other guitar players. And Dave Leslie, the lead guitarist for Baby Animals, was really talented. And also at the time, Susie DeMarchi, who is the lead singer of Baby Animals, was dating Dweezil Zappa, who is also a very, very good guitarist. So I would spend a lot of time backstage with Dweezil and Dave and Eddie playing guitar on a couch or in a room, and it was really amazing. But one of the times when I was backstage early in the day, I was going to gather something for the band. I had to get like a banner or something, and I was walking past it, and one of the roadies said, "Hey, you're here early. You should check out Soundcheck." I was like, "Check out Soundcheck. Okay, I'll do that." So I went up and decided, "Hey, I'll stop by. Soundcheck is good." And the only thing I knew about Soundcheck was that Eddie Van Halen did his own soundcheck. He had all his guitars, and he did, and that was something not to miss. So I go into the, and it was a big arena, and I went way up in the back center, completely empty arena, looking at the stage in front of me. And then Eddie comes out, and he kicks around, he's checking, these his pedals and his guitars and stuff, and he starts to play. And now I had seen Eddie play a half dozen times on this tour. And although his solos were always a little bit different, and he certainly was having fun while he was playing them, they were pretty consistent. There was virtuosity, of course, and there was creativity, of course, but there wasn't a whole lot of like sweeping, crazy improvisation. But it was still an amazing experience. However, at Soundcheck, I was amazed. I sat there with my jaw dropped open. Eddie was doing the most amazing distortion effects just to test the amplifiers. He was doing scales that normal human beings couldn't even comprehend, let alone do his kind of like shuffle beat guitar work. He would start with like a song that you would know, like Running with the Devil, for example, and you'd start to hear it, and then he would just go off and do some amazing things. It was probably one of the most, if not the most, extraordinary musical experiences I've ever had in my life, watching Eddie Van Halen do Soundcheck, and it was pretty amazing. Well, I'm sitting back there, I'm in the back row, and he's finishing up, and I'm just like in awe. I'm like this. And then I notice there's someone standing behind me watching as well. And I'm like, oh, it must be another roadie or something. So he's on like a metal railing, and he's got his foot on the railing, and he's just watching Soundcheck. So Eddie finishes up, and I realized that I shared this moment with this dude. We both watched this amazing Eddie Soundcheck. And I get up to leave, and I turn, and this dude goes to me, he goes, "That was pretty amazing, wasn't it?" And I'm like, "Oh my God, yeah." And I look up at him, and it was Michael Anthony, the bass player for Van Halen. And I thought, what a perfect kind of like coda to my experience was that this person who's toured with Van Halen for, at that point, 20 years, and has seen Eddie from the highest highs to, no, not that he had any lows, but from in all points in between in his career, still still would take time out to watch, Eddie on one night be the virtuoso and the creative force that he was on guitar. And it's a moment I'll never forget. And stick around. I'll have more of these over the next 30 days. Again, celebrating the fact that I'm launching my first science fiction novel on November 1st. Thanks.